All right, welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. Today, Zach Keilman is back. He's finally back.
Hey,
He's big time now. Has a new podcast he's been working on.
you're killing me with this. Like, I didn't know if you're going to lead in with that too.
Oh, you should have known that's what I was going to do.
That's fair. That's fair. I've done enough shows with you. I really should expect that at this point.
So, you tell me not to start with Jay Cutler, and by God, I'll start with Jay Cutler.
Yeah, I gave you that bait. That's fair.
It's what I do, but then I won't bring it up for a while. I'll bring it up at the end, and it all circles back. But he's back. What's your new podcast that you guys started? USFL?
Yeah, the USFL Podcast. If you haven't heard yet, the USFL is returning in a new form this April, playing all games in Birmingham, Alabama at their hub city. And me and a good buddy of mine over at Pro Football Newsroom, Stefan Raychuk, a.k.a. The Ref, who runs that site, we said, you know what? Let's put our collective talents together. We're just cover just the league. So we've been doing that now. It's going on episode 5 this coming week. And it's been killing it. Like, if any of you watch that and are listening into this as well, you guys rock. So thank you. Our first month was really kick-ass. I'm looking forward to the next few months ahead. So yeah, I that's what Steve's referring to. So, and
That's
shout
not
out to
about it all.
Shout out to Tom Abraham from 97.7 in the end zone over in Huntsville, Alabama. Like, seriously, those are fun appearances on the radio. Didn't think I'd get those opportunities either, but here I am.
Yeah, you put that on Twitter, and I saw it was ESPN. I was like, oh. Well, no matter what it is, I know ESPN radios aren't like they're big. Like I know ESPN Chicago's huge.
Sure.
But I was like, that's a big step because that's one of the only podcasts for that, the USFL. I think it's one of the only things. And then I see like Colin Cowherd trying to sneak his way in with the herd of like, we'll announce this all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's what's funny with that because so for those not in the know, Fox owns the league. Like they're the sole ones running it, essentially. Well, mostly sole ones. They own the majority of it, is what I'm trying to say. And so, what better way to show off all the stuff for that league than make Colin Cowherd, who is one of their top 3 programs on their Fox Sports radio station, do it for each time. So that is exactly what they're doing. Like, here's the thing. Not only is he going to be doing that, but he's already been saying on his shows, like once the NFL season's done, he's transitioning to USFL football, as well as like MLB baseball, basketball talk. So yeah, it's going to be part of his show as long as the league's around. Kind of crazy. It's just funny that they picked his show, but I mean, would you want Undisputed having Shannon and Skip Bayless go at each other's throats over the USFL?
I was going to say there's not a lot to pick from. You don't want Skip and Shannon doing it. You don't want Nick Wright doing it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can't stand Nick Wright, but I have to put that in every single podcast I do. I have to say I hate him. That's why I rooted for the Chiefs or against the Chiefs. That's one of the 3 reasons, but he was the big one. Maybe you guys will end up on Colin Cowherd's show. Maybe he'll know.
Hey, you know what? Possibilities I think are endless. I would love to get an opportunity with someone that's in that scene, at least, be like, oh my God, I just met like a top radio personality. Even though I know, like, for example, like Colin Cowherd, I know some comments in the past he's made have been, iffy, ain't gonna lie. But to be able to say, hey, I got to interact with somebody in that level,
yeah,
kind of neat. And Cowherd hasn't made anything to where it's like, you met him, why the hell did you meet him? In my eyes, at least. Could be wrong, but everything I've read hasn't been to that level. So
yeah, I mean, I'm in waves with Colin. There's times I'm a fan of his. He'll post stuff that are just hit it out of the ballpark takes, and then there's times where he says something. I'll go, "Why did you just say that?" And then it just goes back down. I was that way with Skip Bayless for a long time. Now it's just always bad. Now it's like, sure. I can't do it anymore.
Somehow the qualities that people were iffy on already when he was with ESPN, they decided to double down on them when he went to Fox, and he's just never let go since.
Skip Bayless has that cannot be him all the time. But I think now, especially when he was at ESPN, but I think he's formed, like this is his final form when he's at Fox. Like this is actually like he's just churned into that.
Yeah, I have reached my ultimate form.
That's exactly what he is. He's like, this is because Fox, they just kind of let them go. ESPN, he was pulled back. Now they're just like, just go. Like now he has his own podcast too. Like now that's coming out.
You know, I shouldn't be even. Why am I even sounding surprised? Like, if you're any media personality in sports that has either some show or talks just enough on your subject, like you're bound to have a podcast anymore. It's like they're just the quintessential extra portion of your content. You know,
Right.
Adam Schefter, Skip Bayless. I mean, all these guys that people look up to for sports takes or comments. Of course, they're going to have a show. Why am I even making it assume that that's a shock? That is not shocking to me. That was dumb of me to react that way.
I think I was more shocked that it took a while for him to get one because they first turned Undisputed into a podcast. It gets released on, as a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shannon Sharp had his. And I was like, okay. And then I was more shocked that Skip Bayless didn't have one. I'm like, well, I have one, so he should have one.
Right.
Might
as well get somebody talking frantically on the Dallas Cowboys every day, right?
Or Tom Brady, or about what we're getting. So before we get into, I don't want to say the name. So we're going to have NFL, USFL, and then XFL also.
Yeah. So the way that's going to work is the XFL is coming in 2023. So by 2023, if the USFL does get through its first year, fine, and it's ready to churn up the marketing and go a second year, and they're saying that the best case scenario is that second year those teams move to their cities that they want to go to, which I might as well list those off. You have two divisions, North Division. You got the Michigan Panthers, Pittsburgh Maulers, New Jersey Generals, and Philadelphia Stars. Southern Division, you have the Houston Gamblers, Birmingham Stallions, New Orleans Breakers, and Tampa Bay Bandits. In theory, best case scenario, they all go to their markets. The XFL would then come in and would be in all their markets. Difference is that you'd have the NFL playing till essentially the tail end of early February, now that it's the extended season. The XFL would play a week after. It would start its first week, similar deal it did in 2020. The week after Super Bowl, you jump right into XFL football. The USFL would instead not play in February through April. It would play essentially, or February through like maybe early May. It would play essentially through April through early July, like it's doing right now. So the schedule right now is April 16th through July 3rd, which the July 3rd is the championship game. So the concept, and then if you add in like, say you like Canadian football, you have all your football. Like you are essentially locked in. You will never not have a game on because Canadian football goes all the way through the NFL season. So if you, for example, liked all those leagues, the dream is a reality come 2023.
So what you're saying is now we have to make a Canadian football podcast as well, is what we're going with.
I dipped into it last year. I mean, I love my buddies over Trevor and Ken over at Bleacher Connection. I love those dudes. And I dipped my toes in last year as my first year doing it. Anymore, Steve, like, and you know this from experience, it's all about time, man. Like I mean, I'll tell you, like my like Belly Up Sports, like you and I are in, like I'm trying to run our new radio program, Burns Radio. That is an insane amount of dedication to put in for that right now. I don't mean to just say that's, like I'm not trying to praise myself here. I'm just telling you that, between that USFL podcast, Inside the Walls, which is an arena one I do, and then I barely do Ground Gallery right now. I wish I had time to do Canadian one because I like the CFL. That's all I can tell you. Part my fault, part, other stuff. I mean, that's all I'm going to leave it at. I don't want to go too much farther there.
An O-line coach I've kind of become friends with. He's the O-line coach at Ohio University, Coach Rudolph. He used to coach in Canada. He coached there for a couple of years.
Cool.
Just a selfless plug.
What was his? I mean, I might as well be curious. What's his department like position?
Offensive line.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So he has courses out on certain run plays, and he still shows film from that time that he was in Canada. But then he had to come back to the United States. He goes, well, they just make more money in America. So he's like, I have to. He had to come back, and was he at Arkansas State maybe when he came back? I don't remember. And then got up to Ohio University. He'll be back on the podcast. We've been texting back and forth. Signing days this week, and then he'll come back.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
He's a great guy. But that was a shameless plug there. He hates being plugged on things, so I do it. I do it
So
anyway.
just a little extra. Might as well.
What I do to him, what I do to you. So when he comes on, there's a thing called Coach Tube, and you can sell courses. Well, he has some on there. So when he comes on, he's been on twice. Every time he comes on, I'm like, oh, guys, make sure you check out this. And he goes, why? Like he's like, no, you don't have to tell anybody. They can just
Mr. Teacher Man there.
So I can just. So what you're saying is there's money in here. Canadian football podcast and XFL podcast here in a year. That's what's going to happen.
You know, like I said, if I'm able to do it, I love talk. I just love football in general, man. That's all I'm going to put it. Like the sport itself, its flavors, its different varieties. I just love the sport, period. I mean, like I said, I mean, mentioned like much, if any, right now of arena football and indoor football, which, you know, you want to talk about like kooky and different compared to what the outdoor game is. And, you know, if I told people like go investigate what this stuff is and try it out, I praise it just as much as the outdoor game because it's at its core, it's still an amazing sport. The strategy's still there. You know, the team camaraderie is still there. You know, those are two of the best elements of the world of football that make it, to me, the greatest sport in this world, without a doubt. And I'll argue anyone till my death. You know, I know soccer has a following that's, you could argue, is much more massive. It is actually much more massive globally, but I will tell you it's not the best sport in the world. I don't think it is, but you know, everyone can have their opinion, and I'll gladly talk about that opinion on that.
Arena football is awesome. It's awesome. I remember being a kid and they had that PlayStation 2 game.
Yes.
And it was awesome. And then the little town by me, they had one for like a year, like an indoor team. Really? And it's awesome because you could throw it off the wall. It could be caught. Like you have to like it's a smaller space. And you want to talk about that full speed run up into the line. Like, and it's crazy all the different rules. Like XFL has different rules. NFL, I'm sure USFL is going to have different rules.
Yeah.
Canadian football, you have 12 guys on the field.
I know. Like, 12 guys. You got at least, you can have all the men in motion if you want to the line. I mean, the Rouge alone, that, you know, 1 point possession plays on special teams if you can't get it out of the end zone for those returns. I mean, a lot of different stuff. You know, the goalposts at the front of the goal of the end zone, you know, which to many people, that's the first thing you get is when you see that, you go, whoa, this is like old school. And it's like, well, they haven't really changed that rule much. And the end zones are indeed a lot deeper. You know, there's a lot more room to play with in there if you wanted.
Thank God they weren't like that when I played. I would have hurt myself. And I'm not even a touchdown scorer. I somehow would have ran into that sucker. I was an offensive lineman. I'm sure I would have. What did you say? Bam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I've asked a receiver before that I've had on Gridiron Gallery a while back. Antoine Grant, I'll plug him here. Really good arena receiver too. You know, he was with the Rough Riders, and you know, I asked him like, hey, so do you ever just worry about hitting the pole? And he's like, yeah, you don't really have time to do that, but I mean, it is there. So I'm just like,
in the back of my mind,
just like, okay, yeah, I get it, but like, I don't want to just be domed by a metal pole running a slant route. You know, probably more like a deep cross, honestly, is what would happen instead of like the slant. The slant would be too quick. Like you'd have that ball instantly. You wouldn't have enough time to hit that pole. A deep cross, or maybe like a kind of a sluggo, you know, I can see that happening, you know, one of those two easily. Get your domed rocked.
Yeah, no. No. All right, so now that we established, I have a list here. I put down that you're big time. We've accomplished that. And then we got a lot of podcast ideas that we can talk about. Because if you do XFL, maybe get The Rock on. See, now we're thinking.
Oh my God. Look, I'll say this too. Love The Rock, but I'll tell you, man. Anytime the XFL is brought up, you have to be like everyone's like The Rock, The Rock, The Rock. I'm like, yeah, he's cool.
Well,
I like The Rock, but like I'm also like, this guy's cool, but like the football, that's cooler to me.
well, I think they're working with Canadian football for something. So something's in the works.
Yeah, they were talking back this spring. They had talked about possibly finding some sort of partnership.
Okay.
And they went their separate ways. The CFL did play its season after canceling 2020s, whereas the XFL delayed a year. But the talk is that they left the door open for if something in the future were to happen, they could go and have a chat. But right now they're not really talking. So
because The Rock played Canadian football, so that's kind of
because he started his only time he played was with the Stampeders, and he was essentially one season, got cut, and that's how he pivoted to wrestling. His dad already had in the background, he just kind of got back into the scene, and that's all she wrote. The story kind of accelerates from there, honestly. Also, the $7 in his pocket story comes from the him being cut from the CFL.
Yeah, fast forward, he's billions and billions of dollars richer. Like just
right. And now owning part of a league that is kind of in the same space as what the CFL is, the alternative to the NFL universe type of deal.
Buys a $32 million skull of a dinosaur.
Right. Because he can.
Because he can just write a check for $32 million.
It's the I don't know what to do with this money.
Like, you ever heard of FU money? That's real FU money.
That is definitely FU money. You can name a T-Rex head and put it in a Manning cast stream. You have FU money.
Must be nice.
It must be pretty nice. You know what's also nice? It's nice to have an early retirement as well, if you get what I'm hinting at.
Yeah, well, I just realized there's two. One, congrats to Big Ben on retiring. And I feel bad for him because the next retirement overshadows his retirement.
We ain't talking about Big Ben anymore. We knew that was coming for a year plus.
We've been waiting for this for 2 years. 2 years ago, it should have happened.
Yeah.
He pushed the limits of maybe I should play and eat chicken wings every day and not take care of my body. It's whatever. The best joke was, I do that Tom Brady diet. No, you don't.
Gotta pull out my phone and check a picture again. Nah, this ain't matching up. Sorry, Ben. I'm just being honest here. It ain't matching up.
Congrats to him. The Steelers won't be the same. They have to get a new quarterback. I know a quarterback that's available. They could go there. And but then Tom Brady retired. Now, before we get to the retirement part, when was it reported? Saturday? I think it was Saturday they reported it.
Yeah, it was. I believe it actually. I think it was just before that. Yeah, it was just before the. Yeah, it was just before championship games. I'm not crazy.
So was it Saturday or Sunday? I don't remember.
Darn it!
It was one of those days. Sometimes it's
Saturday. I'm gonna drive myself crazy.
Yeah, all I know is Adam Schefter reported it.
Yeah, well, Schefter and Jeff Darlington, who is very much in Brady's camp. That was like the big addition to that was because Darlington was kind of coming from the mouth of someone that talks to the man himself directly. So if you had doubts, then that was to reaffirm that this is a pretty good source according to them. Although Brady Sr. and the man himself wouldn't tell you otherwise.
Well, that's where I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's retiring!" And then Sunday night or whatever, Tom Brady's dad come out and had that piece. This is why I have trust issues when you see this, and then it's just apparently wrong because they made a good point. I think maybe it was Pat McAfee or somebody. They said if you listen to him on his podcast last week, the stuff he was talking about, like being with his family and his kids, it kind of sounded like he was going to retire. Like that's just what it came down to, was he was going to retire. And then when that was reported, you think he would have came out right away and said no. It took a while. And I believe it was last night he said that he'll do it his way, or it's, he has to think about it. It's going to take it day by day. And then all of a sudden today it says he's, retired. And I think I retweeted it and I said, are you sure? Like, are we positive here that he's actually, then I saw the Instagram post and he's retired. So no more Tom Brady. Maybe the greatest quarterback we've ever seen ever. Statistic wise.
I mean, maybe or definitely, because I mean, I think there's a lot of cases to say that you can put a definite stamp on there.
Yeah, I get in debate. I think he is the greatest quarterback, but then people get in debates of, well, athleticism and this and that. And I'm like, but you got to look at the numbers. You got to look at the Super Bowls.
Right.
I've already seen people say that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback because of his athleticism. Have you seen? So I don't want to jump the gun. I got in arguments about Jimmy G, and we can talk about that later. I've gotten.
Well, Jeff Garcia apparently did too. So
I got wrapped up into that because
okay.
I called her out too, but not for reasons that other people. I called out everybody. I said we can get to that later, but anyway. So we looked up the top quarterbacks. They have like Justin Herbert at number 2 or 3. So that's how I know this list is BS. Like that guy is not up there. Like he's above Tom Brady. He's above whatever. So that's the argument people get into. But yes, I think he's definitely the greatest quarterback of all time. Put him in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. Don't wait the 5 years or whatever. Put him in tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, it's like the Manning treatment where like he's done and he's going to get there, but now it's just like the technicality of like, was he really there yet? We got to wait the 5 years to get there, and it's gonna be just as short as Manning's. Like it'll be like somewhere between like 10 to 12 seconds going around the horn, and then slap a HOF sticker on that.
Well, Peyton Manning too. Should have just put him in the next day.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, if we wanted to, if we want to talk like that and say bypass the technicalities of the Hall. Okay, yeah, they're players like that. Manning, you're right. If it took 12 seconds for a roundtable panel to vote in, pretty sure they'd be okay if the year after he retires to just go, yeah, you're in. Who cares? We already know where you're going.
I'm surprised it took 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's
I would just talk to everyone beforehand and be like, look, don't even bother. Just tell the guys you walk in that we're voting Manning, and then you can just put it on there. No seconds, maybe half. If you wanted to do that delay,
just text me that he's going in, and it's fine. But he's gone. I do want to say my Illinois Fighting Illini beat Tom Brady when he played for Michigan, so I want to throw that out there. He has not beaten Illinois. I want to throw that out there. Anyway, that's a shame. I did not like how it was handled because I think Adam Schefter is the best. Him and Ian Rappaport, I think, are the best NFL guys, especially on social media. But this was a disaster. Like, if I know a guy close to Tom Brady, you probably got it from. But you think if you're Adam Schefter, you would somehow call Tom Brady or his agent and be like, look, I have this story. I have to tell people. I won't be able to sleep at night if I don't tell people. Yep. Is this true? Do you want me to wait till a certain day? And I'm not saying he didn't do that, but then like to say he's retired and then the next day we have to be told he's not retired. Like what a debacle of a story for the NFL.
I really think it just became, it's kind of the break. It's kind of like the insider shtick versus what Brady's known for. Brady is, especially in recent years, post Deflategate for sure. It's his control of the narrative. This guy knows he is a level of star that you don't need to bother with people doing the storytelling for you. He can do it himself. That's kind of how it is. So, of course, if he didn't get his chance to put out that notice and then let Schefter and Rappaport pick it up, and he watched them slam, especially Schefter and Darlington co-working this, slam that story down. Odds are that's the typical mentality he's had in recent years where it's like, yeah, I ain't going to admit that until I make it my own. So, him delaying a few days, that instantly screams like, okay, he definitely wasn't wanting them to do it for him. So this is him playing it out, giving it a little more days time to make it, in my eyes, seem like he thought about it. I think that report was accurate and that he was going to retire. The signs are on the wall. It's just that because they jumped the gun and it was to get the story out, they felt it was confident enough, and Tom didn't put his own thing out yet, that sure enough, you have Brady and his dad and, even Licht over there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who he told directly he wasn't fully ready to say something yet. They all come out and go, well, there's nothing official from Brady, which if I were to make a guess, and again, knowing how Tom Brady has been, yeah, he's probably the guy that's going to want to say it first. So anyone trying to stick it to him early and tell his own story for him, of course he push back on it. Of course he didn't get his chance to say anything, so he's going to delay it. And that's why it made it look like a mess. Honestly, as much as maybe Schefter, Darlington, or Rappaport were correct, they kind of should eat crow because they should have expected this, in my opinion. Brady probably was going to do this all along if you didn't give him his chance to tell his own narrative.
Right, because like you said, the past couple years, even when he was going to Tampa Bay, remember the commercial where it was supposed to show, like we all thought, oh, he's going somewhere. And it really wasn't. It was a commercial for something completely different. He knows what he's doing. And like listening to other podcasts today and last night, it seemed like this was forced. You know what I mean? Like he was probably going to retire. We all knew the writing's on the wall. He made a comment about how he's not injured. He brought up Kobe Bryant saying, we can't play forever. Look at him, and you never know. He was going to. We all knew it. I don't think he wanted to make a video because you look at Big Ben made a video. I'm sure Tom Brady wanted to do something. And then now we're come down to, I'll call ESPN and confirm it. Then I'll put up a writing on Instagram. I don't think that's how he wanted to do it. And I just, who was the other guy with Adam Schefter that reported it?
Jeff Darlington.
He's probably fired from Tom Brady's group because if he's a part of that and he let it get out there for some reason, he's fired. He'll never be around Tom Brady again because surely that pissed him off. Surely that just
could have been much, much better. Again, for a guy that with this magnitude of a career, you just kind of back off until they get to say something. Big Ben, okay, whatever. He definitely had a legendary career, but this is a guy that I don't think is like a Brady, control maniac type of dude. So he was probably okay with that, is what happened. Brady, yeah, you should have seen that writing on the wall. You've covered, guys like Schefter and Rappaport have covered the league enough to know that this was bound to happen. So This is one that's you should have known to steer clear. Even because you have that knowledge, you let the big man speak first before you put that out. You can even wait. If you see it, the second you see it, damn well you're going to post it anyway. Why not just wait for the guy? If you're that confident, just wait it out. No need to jump the gun like that.
Or, I just don't know why they wouldn't call somebody. Adam Schefter has access to call his agent, call somebody and just be like, this is what I got. What do we think? And if Tom Brady said, hey, so then Tom Brady has the decision to be not lie and just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he honestly doesn't.
That's all you can do then. It's either you go Favre and you make everyone look, you can make everyone look stupid. And honestly, I think he wouldn't have mind doing that. But again, as we look at Tom's life, he's mentioned this in, as you're talking his own podcast, that he's got kids getting into his teens, kind of life is starting to, and this is my analysis, not what his words or anything. So don't take that from me on his life. It's his life. But his life is beginning to, even though you're playing till you're 44 and at the top of your game, your life does kind of start passing you by a little bit at some degree. So eventually, as much as you can keep playing, fall months and all that, and missing out on a big chunk of your life that you get to have with your family, and you're not going to be uncomfortable because your wife makes a ton of more money than you do, from what I understand.
Yes.
Maybe it is fine. And you're already like, what else do you need to prove is the other thing, 44 years old. You are a front runner for the MVP right now. You have 7 championships on your belt, right, for yourself. You've gone to 10 plus Super Bowls in your lifetime. What else got to show me, man? Really nothing. Well, you got 10 Super Bowls. You got nothing else to show people. Like, you have records, you have the good claim. I'm the guy that says that, the other argument for me used to be Joe Montana was the greatest to ever play the game. It's hard to argue that anymore. Who else? There's no one else you can really compare in terms of accolades, in terms of memories, heroic moments, legendary status of the game than Tom Brady. As much as you can hate the man, which I definitely have had my moments in my life that I have disliked watching the man get another stretch run to the playoffs. You have to respect the hell out of the guy that has the work ethic and the consistent success after being drafted in the 7th round in his time as a player. We all forget he is kind of the ultimate underdog story in terms of how he got his rise to fame. It's mainly because the guy's been so good for so long.
He's been so good for so long when he wasn't supposed to. He got that starting job for the Patriots and never, ever gave it up. And he kind of proved he didn't need the greatest coach of all time to go win another Super Bowl. Even though he had a good coach in Bruce Arians, he just kind of proved, hey, I can go do it. And another thing is that he is not injured. So he can walk away from this saying, like, as far as I know, I don't have any head issues. I don't have any other things going on like some players do. I can walk away from this.
Right.
His last throw ever is a touchdown to Evans. Like, that's his last throw. I think he can live with that. Like,
I think you're fine going out in that way. It's not a whimper. This ain't Dan Marino getting shellacked by Jacksonville. This is a man that went out with dignity and got beat by a quarterback that is also looking to finally cement his legacy. And a team that has a ton of stars that they bought as well.
And he knew it would be tough to come back and try to win a Super Bowl and then retire. Very, 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 very few people can do that. I know Peyton Manning did it, but he had the best defense in the league help him do it. So that's kind of why Peyton Manning was like pushing that year to try to win a Super Bowl. So I think he's fine to retire, but I think the reason why it's such a big story is because Big Ben, we knew he's declined. He's not who he was. Tom Brady looked the same. He does what he does. Now this year he was sometimes hit or miss, but that whole team was hit or miss. So it was nothing to look at. They had injuries. They didn't play well. They almost won. I mean, they could be in the Super Bowl right now if they, hold that Rams team from scoring a wide open pass, which I don't know how Kupp got so wide open.
Very good question.
That's one of the best defenses in the NFL, and you just let them get down the field. Makes no sense, but no more Tom Brady. Maybe I'll finally read the book on Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I haven't done it yet. Maybe now is the time to crack it open.
Yeah, I keep getting told Man in the Arena is something worth watching, and I kind of resist because I'll admit I'm resisting because I'm like, do I need another thing that tells me how great the guy is? I don't, but I've had enough friends that say just watch the damn thing. It's a good football doc on a bunch of stuff that you didn't know about behind the curtain. So I just got to sit down. Another piece of medium, I'll be like, F it, let's watch this, just get it over with,
Yeah, I just don't want to pay for ESPN Plus to get it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these ESPN people are just pissing me off.
You can get you can get CFL games that way.
Now I have to get it. See, now look what we've done.
I'm serious, man. You pay that $6 or $7 a month, and every Friday through Sunday, for the most part, some CFL games going to be playing on there, most likely. At least a few of them, not all of them, but about half of them a week play on there.
Well, if I want to make that podcast or continue to talk about it, I'm going to have to get it now.
I'll remind you. We'll be talking more through the off season, so I'll keep you posted.
Damn it! So outside of that, other things have happened in the NFL. Some things I won't touch. You guys can touch later on.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I want to wait to see more about what happens.
It's been a day. That's all I'm going to leave it on. It's been a day.
It's been a day, and I know if I talk about it right now, I'll say the wrong thing, and we're not going to go down that road, by accident.
Right.
Super Bowl set, Rams versus the Bengals. If someone would have bet on the Bengals going into the Super Bowl, probably pretty happy. I think Joe Burrow heard everybody talk about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes saying like, "Oh, these two are the new Tom Brady and Peyton Manning," and Joe Burrow's like, "Hold on, wait a second, I'm pretty good. Like, what about me?" The Chiefs just collapsed to get to the Super Bowl. Anybody that watched that game in the second half, I'm watching it and I'm like, Patrick Mahomes looks like a different quarterback. He's stiffening up. He's not making the right throw. They defended it like an air raid team. They dropped everybody in coverage and they just said, screw it. We're going to drop everybody in coverage. If Patrick Mahomes runs, he runs. And we know on offense we can score. But congrats to the cheapest owner in the NFL and the Bengals. They don't even have an indoor facility to practice in. And we got the biggest snowstorm of all time coming through. They're not going to be able to practice. They're going to have to be in the snow. But congrats to the Bengals. And
yeah, I mean, still atrocious, though. How do you do 2 games in a year against the same opponent where the exact same result? Like timeline-wise of the contest happens where you get a somewhat massive first half lead. 21-3 is pretty significant. And back late in the year, the week 17 mark, I want to say, when the Chiefs played the Bengals, same deal. They got up to a double-digit lead first half, looking like they were going to be coasting. Somehow, some way, Cincinnati did the exact same thing. They shut them down second half. Offense comes alive. Except this time they go to overtime, and even add on a cherry on top, they somehow lose the coin toss and become the second team in postseason history to win by not winning the coin toss in overtime. Teams were 10-1 if they win the coin toss. They're now 10-2. Well, all because of this scrappy young team.
I called for the overtime rules to change after that Bills game. And so then when it was happening again and the Chiefs got the ball, I was like, yep, see, you got to change the rules. They're going to march down and score a touchdown. We're all going to be mad that Joe Burrow can't come out and have an opportunity to try to match it. I'm going to freak out. But then I called it. I said, he's going to throw an interception. Throws an interception. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how in the NFL you play a team just a couple weeks ago, come in, and where it started was you're up 21-3, and then they were up 21-10. You're on like the 3 on fourth down, and Andy Reid goes, "We're going to go for it," and they get stopped, and they can't get a field goal, and that's kind of where it started. Was it Kelsey that said it one day on your guys' show? I can never remember. I said something about the Bengals. I commented about the Bengals having confidence, and he said it was a certain confidence of like, don't they know they're supposed to lose? They're the Bengals.
Right.
They're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, young, scrappy team going against the norm, saying that we aren't supposed to be here. I mean, I even talked about it this past Sunday for 4th and 4. And I said it even after they won. I thought this team was a year early. Like getting to this point, I'm like, they're a year early. They should not. They never were considered to be here. They were 125-1 odds Vegas wise pre-season before anyone to get to the Super Bowl in the first place. So most people thought they weren't going to be here, and I don't think anyone saw them getting. I don't think anyone saw them getting the division championship, and even beyond that, like the hoops you have to jump through in an AFC that has so many power players in it. And the fact that the dominoes fall the right way, and you somehow are able to best the Chiefs in their own stadium, a team that is basically looking like it's the next Patriots for the AFC, where it has that all-pro talent. Now, credit those contracts, and things like that kick in later. I know there's stuff that's in the pipeline that'll affect that. I digress. There's a lot of good talent and still coaching there, no matter what. the fact you come in, you have a young roster, you do this, you stop Patrick Mahomes, you make him have, from what I saw, a 1.4 QBR second half.
Oh my God.
Yes, this man had a 1.4, the MVP winning, Super Bowl winning Patrick Mahomes, the guy who can throw any pass, it seems, in some randomest of places, had a 1.4 QBR against this young roster. Zach Taylor, of all people, the guy who was on the hot seat in some people's eyes going into this year. And here they are, Super Bowl bound to take on really a complete opposite in terms of viewpoint. Because if you look at the NFC, people had maybe, I think, for Super Bowl bound teams, I think really the only two I heard the most were Packers, Rams. Just because the Rams bought so much in, and even midseason did the we're all in. And here they are, completely different philosophy. Bengals are a build through the draft, build through young talent team. They did it the way that a GM like a Chris Ballard like salivates over, little cap that you spend on as much as possible. They did, credit Trey Hendrickson, a lot of money. I get that, but little big impact purchases as possibly can. You have your futures invested. You did it what people in those scenes call the right way. And then you have the Rams. Bring in the QB that brings you over the top. Bring in an extra running back, even though Akers is down, you bolster that backfield. Bring in a veteran pass rusher in Von Miller. You already had Jalen Ramsey. You're basically throwing all your first-round picks to the wind and saying, short term, that's our goal. Super Bowl, that's our goal. Hosting the second straight Super Bowl home game, back-to-back years. They get to have the second one. That's our goal. Making the NFL have its time in the sun and have people to shut the hell up because of course, those that dislike the Rams for moving, which I sympathize with you, they wanted to say, suck it. We're getting to play in our own stadium. That's what they get to have. So completely different philosophies. Even big city, small city.
Yeah.
Two completely different teams and how they were built coming in. And the thing is, everyone feels good about it for different reasons. For Rams fans, Detroit fans are backing him. Why? Matthew Stafford, like one of the good guys of the NFL who's been waiting to get his time in the sun. For the Bengals, a team that's been just mired in garbage and finally gets its time to say, you know what, I'm sticking a middle finger up and my young swagger will carry me. It's beautiful. It's one of the ideal scenarios for a Super Bowl that's for like everybody that wants to watch the Super Bowl.
Well, a piece of Detroit's in the Super Bowl. I think Detroit fans are rooting for Matthew Stafford. So you have all of Detroit rooting for them. Yeah, the Rams are like, we're going to do this now. What first-round draft picks? What are you talking about? We don't need those. And I just want to point out, the Bears beat the Bengals. So the Bears are better than the Bengals. If we had some competent coaching, maybe we could have made the Super Bowl. Just saying. I think
they could have one kicker, and you think about it, where they go. I know that's pretty simplistic for 2018, but let's just look back. One kicker, the man that ended the Packers' run this year, that just didn't get his bag of money. One kicker.
Yep.
Does that fix the problems later down the line? No, but I'm just telling you, for that year, maybe the one kicker does save everything. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, maybe the one guy that can make field goals would have sent us to the Super Bowl. Robbie Gold wouldn't have doinked it. He would have. Oh, that's hurtful. That hurts the soul so much. Should have just kept the kicker. But yes, they're on and upwards. They beat my Jimmy G and 49ers. That was a hard game for me because I love Matthew Stafford. I kind of wanted him to go to the Super Bowl. But then it's Jimmy G, who went to school with, helped out spring ball with in football.
Yeah.
And then all the hate he got, I had to come out and defend publicly. And who cares what I say? I'm a small-time podcaster, like way down here. Like, you and the rest of them are up here, and I'm down here. And I have to listen to ESPN people talk about Jimmy G.
Me and the rest up there. That you still kill me, I swear.
I told you when we get I start the show with it, and then as we get going, it's going to come back around. I told you that's how it works.
All right. I'll bite into this conversation. I'm with you where I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo as this god-awful trash choice. I see Jimmy Garoppolo as a Alex Smith that takes more risks.
Yeah, I straight up said it on mine because my podcast is all about me ranting. That's just what it is. I said he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's just what it is, and people can argue whatever. Yeah, he didn't play that great against the Packers. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. There was one game, I think 2 years ago, he threw 6 passes and they won. And to see the post from ESPN saying he is the type of he's a kid in a group project that does nothing and gets the A. And so what they're doing is they're taking 1 or 2 games and saying, look, he doesn't throw a touchdown pass, and they won the game. My thing with that is he's not going to lose you the game either. And then he did that thing again at the end of the game where he flipped it out. But guess what? It hit the guy in the hands, and then it popped up. Now, should he have done that? No, he was trying too hard. He played really good. I thought he played really good up until like 6-7 minutes left in the game. Like then it just kind of fell apart. But he's 33-14, I think, as a starter. He's won a lot of playoff games. He's gotten to the Super Bowl. He has some Super Bowl rings backing up Tom Brady. He was 2-0 starting with the Patriots before he got hurt. When he was hurt for the 49ers, they were 4-12. Then he comes back the next year and they win games, gets hurt again. They lose. This year, he tore something in his throwing thumb, hurt his ankle, hurt his knee, and he said, screw it, I'm going to play. And it was the Bears game. That Bears game, he played really, really well.
Oh, he did. He torched him. Him and Deebo Samuel. I still am haunted by that contest.
So that's why I don't understand the ESPN thing. And I don't want to, we got to talk about the Bears. It's been a long podcast. We haven't gotten to the whole topic yet. And this is my fault. So we'll get there. But that's my whole thing was I listen to these people. They get paid millions of dollars to be on the network. And I won't go as far as Jeff Garcia or them or whatever. I mean, it's whatever. I'm going to get in trouble either way. YouTube will flag it somehow, some way. My only argument was they judge him on a game or two, and then they say he's not a good quarterback. He's whatever. No, he's not. No, he's not. Like, you can't tell me, like, let's say a Bears fan, let's say we didn't have Justin Fields or anything. Would we take Jimmy G? In a heartbeat, we would take Jimmy G. Like, if that was it.
If I had to take a choice between him and Andy Dalton, I would probably still go with Jimmy G over Dalton.
Yeah.
And I know I know some people be like, well, what about the risk? It's like, and Dalton doesn't have some turnover contingencies in the last few years. I mean, the risks are there. The thing is, it's about the upside at that point. And I think that you have Garoppolo slightly upsiding on Andy Dalton here, if that was the case. And that's just in this scenario. Like, obviously Justin Fields, that's sitting there. Trey Lance. I mean, the reason why they did that is they're taking basically a play out of the book of either the Chiefs or even going back to freaking Jim Harbaugh with San Francisco, where it's like, young QB waiting in the wing. Maybe he's not ready. We kind of give him some chances. We make him learn behind the scenes, and then we get him going, next year. It more aligns with Alex Smith's role rather than, of course, like Alex Smith back with San Francisco. That was just more of a guy had a boost and was ready to go. This is more of like Mahomes, where it's like, okay, you have all the intangibles supposedly, but like, do you know the game and its speed now? And as we saw this year, guy has flashes, isn't fully ready. The hope is you get a whole season now under his belt of watching and learning. And Garoppolo seems like he's been very much a good team player about this scenario. That's what next year's for. So they're kind of sitting here waiting for that jump, the Smith to Mahomes jump, or even really like say, what's another good comparison here? Really like Stafford, like Goff to Stafford, good team around him. We need that piece to be better.
Right.
So that's what you're hoping he elevates to.
I was trying to think of another comparison. Kind of like Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. They drafted Dak Prescott, and people can say what they want. I think Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. I mean, he puts up good numbers. Does he make dumb decisions? Yes, he does. But again, it's hard to draft a Tom Brady. It's hard to draft a Peyton Manning. It's hard to draft a luck gem in Patrick Mahomes, because who knew he was going to do that?
Trust me, we know.
We know this.
We know so well. It's so obvious.
We know this for being Bears fans. You're not going to do that. You're not going to draft a Russell Wilson and think that he's going to do exactly that. Jimmy G is just that quarterback that if you put him on a team, they're going to be above average, and he'll do good things for you. So this thing of that he's a bad quarterback, records speak for itself, and then the argument becomes, well, look at the team around him. Look at the team around Peyton Manning. Look at the team around like you could. So I'm not going to go too deep in that, but these are. So I have to listen to these. It's just ESPN people. Not saying they don't know anything. They have to study football. They have to understand it. But when you make dumb takes like that, you're going to have to hear it from people because that is a dumb take. But then they want to complain.
It's easier to rag than defend. You know, like you're going with the flow at that point, because there's a lot of people that do just go straight into that. Jimmy Garoppolo's garbage, so it's easy to just jump on the pile. It's easier to do that than start peeling off the pile, you know, less resistance that way.
I also think we live in a world of numbers, which are great to have conversations with. I think a lot of these analysts have fallen in love with, well, he didn't throw for 300 and some yards. He didn't throw for this many yards, so he's not that good. He could throw for 85 yards and they win a game, but did he throw 4 interceptions? No. Like this last game, he had like 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And the interception came at the very end when he was just trying too hard. And he'll probably be the first to tell you, I did too much. I didn't do this. I didn't do that.
Well, you can even, I mean, that even comes into like, I think adjustments in general, you know, you look at how that game ended. The Rams basically said, you know what, screw this run game, you know, start beating us in the pass. You know, we're not going to open up that opportunity. We know what you're doing now. You know, and that I think that falls in line with Kyle Shanahan, which one of his curses as a play caller or as a coach has been, how do I adjust to a mid-game scenario like this in a big moment? You know, I think that's defined his legacy so far. He's had 3 moments now like this in his career. Obviously 2016. We can all go all the way back and remember that moment, of course, with Atlanta. Then talk about 2019, 2019 season. You have a 10-point lead on the Chiefs, and magically that poof into the wind. Same thing here, 17-7. You're in gear. Things are going your way. Poof, into the wind. No adjustments made. The legacy right now of Kyle Shanahan is no adjustments. Guys play hard, but the man doesn't learn what needs to change when the time is dire. It's good becoming coach, that way.
Good coach, good offensive mind. I think sometimes he just outsmarts himself. I think he's like, this
maybe like a Kirby Smart effect, you know?
Yes.
Overthinks it.
Yes. Up until this year. And then
up until this year, yes.
Because that's another thing I heard before we get to the Bears, which is what this whole podcast was for, and I screwed it up. See, I'm rusty. See what happened? That's why I'm down here on podcast. That's why I'm down here. People said he was a garbage coach right after the game too, and that's why I can't stand it. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Man,
he's in the NFC Championship game. Or like when he came out and said that he came out and said, you know, I love Jimmy G. He didn't say if Jimmy G was going to stay or go. He just said, I love that guy. Then you got Stephen A. Smith coming on saying that Kyle Shanahan just lied to the whole world saying that he loves Jimmy G.
You don't know that.
You're just digging for things now to talk about. I think the last time you came on here, we complained about analysts too.
This isn't like a Jared Goff, Sean McVay scenario where like that was becoming bitter at the end of the year. These guys, I mean, they've had a good 3-year run. At least I'm not counting 2018 because I mean, it's a throwaway year. You know, Garoppolo tears his ACL, he's out. But like past 3 years when Garoppolo's been healthy, they've had a good run. You know,
and
there's nothing wrong there.
He's not trying to hit on the head coach's wife or girlfriend like Jared Goff.
That too.
He better not do that in Detroit because that head coach up there might pick him up and break him.
Oh, Dan Campbell will kick his ass. I'm sorry. At least in my opinion, I could see Dan Campbell being like, excuse me? Well, that contract does not matter anymore. I can see. I will gladly leave the city if you let me.
I'm already packed up. Can I just
Is it okay if I go? I already got a flight to Pasadena set up. If you can just let me leave, that'd be great.
And then we'll move on to the topic of this whole podcast. Just a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have happened. The Bears finally hired a GM, which I was glad because I'm sure you were keeping up with it like I was. It looked like they were going to hire a head coach first. And I said, I swear on everything, if they hire a head coach first. That's like Miami hiring a head coach before an athletic director. You don't do that.
No.
Then they hire Ryan Poles, who I thought was a good hire. The GM hires I'm not an expert on because these are people, no offense to them, that you just don't hear about as much as coaches or players. And I tried to research it. I know his name was on an original list because he was a free agent player for the Bears. He was on their practice squad, an offensive lineman, we need an old offensive lineman up in there calling the shots.
Good story.
Good story. Guy from Kansas City that's been a part of building those players up, making deals, getting them, evaluating. I think that was a good GM hire to pull him from Kansas City. And he addressed in his press conference how the offensive line needs to be looked at for the Bears. And I'm like, yes, there's a guy that
Thank you. Oh my God. I am expecting we don't have borrowed time players or quick patch jobs ever. I think if you come out with a statement like that in your opening press conference and you say that, you cannot start your legacy by going, free agent market, or this next draft better be loaded in the back end past first round where you're seeing lineman, maybe, I don't know, secondary option, lineman, it better be loaded. Get some young talent in there or something like that. Or if you're going to go free agency, I don't mind if you spend top dollar to get someone that is on that market. It's okay. Get one of the good guys, don't go after an aging veteran, that has seen a good time, but obviously needs to be, enjoying his life outside of football.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Oh, we need a left tackle. Let me sign a 39-year-old to fix this. Still did good things, but why? Why are you signing a 39-year-old to be on
name recognition?
Team recognition.
That's what Jerry Angelo said when Orlando Pace came by. Name recognition. At least that's how I looked at it back at the time. I digress. All I'm saying is that's a great start. I like the energy from Ryan Poles. First time GM, of course, but I like the story. I like that he has been with one successful program essentially his entire career. And if you don't learn the ins and outs at that point on what works and how to mentally think, I don't know what to say. I mean, first timers, okay, sure, whatever. You're taking a bit of a gamble, but quality program you came from in Kansas City, as much as they just, of course, lost the AFC Championship game, track record shows they can draft and they know their guys. So you hope you know how to assemble a good scouting staff that's able to check out and scout talent across the country like you did back then with KC. So that's a big thing there. Get some young talent that consistently hits, not just the late rounders that hit and then the first rounders are duds most of the time. Give me good, whole draft classes. Don't give me sporadic pieces, okay?
Yeah,
and then invest in linemen.
Because you and I talked, and I said, you got to get rid of everybody. Scouts, because they've done a horrible job. They've made some home runs. They did a horrible job. So have a guy come in that's been a part of a NFL organization. They hit a home run on Patrick Mahomes. They looked at Hill. They were able to make a move for Kelsey. Their offensive line is why they lost the Super Bowl last year. They revamped that, and the offensive line had played a lot better this year.
Yes, it did.
So he's able to see that. Then I think it's a good thing. Well, first of all, at first I was shocked because I was like, oh, we're hiring another guy from Kansas City. The last time that happened, it didn't go too well.
Well, okay.
But I said, that was my first reaction. But then once you actually look at him, I was like, okay, I'm okay with this hire. And then Andy Reid comes out and has this big high praise for him, saying the Chicago Bears hit a home run with this guy. And I don't remember Andy Reid being quite like that with Matt Nagy, but that to get the Andy Reid stamp of approval and then other people around the league saying, yes, this is a good thing for the Bears. And then I love the energy of we're going to take the NFC North and never give it back. Like he wants this so bad. And that's just an offensive lineman thinking. So home run with that. Now his first hire was the head coach. When this happened, I think it was the next day, Sean Payton steps down from the New Orleans Saints. And I was on a madman on Twitter. I said, get this done. Get this done. Get this done. Bring that man home. I live in the same town now that he grew up in. Bring him back. Not Kevin James, Sean Payton. I want Sean Payton.
Correct. No large doppelgangers anywhere to be found, please.
Now, he can come and do comedy. That's all good and well, but we don't need him coaching the football team. I was pushing for him, and I was pushing for who else was I pushing for? I think that was really it. I was like, we need Sean Payton. We need an offensive-minded guy that's really going to come in and show how to win. Flores, I thought would have been a good hire. I thought that was going to be a good one. But then we get another Matt. We have another Ryan and Matt situation here.
I don't understand how that worked out, by the way. How do you happen to get those to work out? What was Bill Polian thinking? The names were right, just not the person behind the name.
But then we get Matt Eberflus. No, I say his name wrong.
Eberflus. I believe it's one of the two.
And you go listen to Pat McAfee because he would know. He's a Colts guy.
It's harder to say than Nagy.
Or fire him. Like, Matt, fire him. Like, I'm so used to just firing him. So we hired the Colts defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. This one, I don't know. I have no idea. People are saying it's a good hire. People are saying that, his press conference was okay. Like, he's going to push in the right direction. I was no offense to him. I hope he does a good job, obviously. There's two things. One, we're doing our old cycle. We hire a head coach that's a defensive guy, then they get rid of him. We'll hire an offensive guy. Then when that's done, we go back to a defensive guy. We went from Fox to Nagy. Now we're to this.
Well, isn't that what stuck out the most? Is just like people were expecting, if we're going to make a team around Justin Fields, if Justin Fields is the essential building block to what will finally propel Chicago to stop being a once every 5 or 6 years type of team, that it's going to be an offensive guy. And as soon as that came across, like, it didn't even matter. Like, Matt Eberflus, when he said he was coordinator of the Colts, I'm like, okay, great. He's done a quality job with Indianapolis. Okay. But that was like 10 seconds of my time going, all right, not bad. Because as soon as that happened, I went, all right, who's the OC? Because defensively, you're just adopting, for the most part, a top 10 defense. Okay. You're going to get that right now, and Robert Quinn, unless he has an off year next year, your bank is that Mac is healthier. You need just to have some revamps in certain positions, but overall it's a top 10 unit. So that pickup doesn't matter to me because those defensive principles are easily going to get passed on to whoever's calling those plays, or he's calling the plays. I don't know what it is. Who's the OC?
Yeah,
that's the big deal. And they did hire the OC, a QB coach from Green Bay of all places. Funny enough. I mean, talk about the irony in that.
Well, they should have brought the quarterback from the Packers too. I think we would have.
Well, I mean, that's still very much up for debate. But I mean, Luke Getsy is going to hopefully bring that magic from over there. Well, and maybe we can curse the Packers with a hire.
Well, I also think Aaron Rodgers is going to leave, but that's just.
Well, that does help. But, Minnesota's still there, in my opinion. And then Jordan Love, we don't even know, full season is all we got to wait for. That's my deal.
But yeah, I was with you. We hire Eberflus, and I'm like, okay, we have a defensive guy. Now what? Like,
right.
Like you said,
who's back?
Defense wasn't our huge issue on this team. Right. Yes, they make mistakes.
There's bits, but it's not the main thing that's losing games.
Right. Like Where in the past couple years have we struggled? Offensive line and the whole offense in general.
Correct.
So now you hire a defensive guy. Great. I know defensive guys do well. Bill Belichick does well. Nick Saban does well. Pete Carroll does well. So sometimes it works out. But the track record proves to me that the Bears don't know what to do when they hire a defensive-minded coach. So
Feels that
cool.
way.
Cool. You got a defensive guy. Now what? Then you hire the quarterback coach from the Packers. I said, okay, now you've got my interest. Now you've piqued it. He's learned a lot up there. He can bring some of those things to Justin Fields and say, this is what Aaron Rodgers works on. This is what they do. This is what we did on offense, and bring that in. Cool. That's great. Now what?
Sure.
Now what?
Here's my only thing I got to add on to that. And this is me watching the Packers in the last few seasons. Don't be like Matt Nagy and abandon the run at the worst case scenario, because Green Bay will do that same stuff too with an Aaron Jones in their backfield. So I'm just saying, I better see a balanced attack. And that was something that was a big critique of Matt Nagy, was when something's going well, he'll bail on it because he's a pass-happy coach. Even with David Montgomery looking better than ever this year, there were times I'm bailing on the guy. I'm going for the passes. I'm going for the explosion, even when it wasn't necessary. That's an MO. And I hope that that's removed. I'm hoping that Luke Getsy comes over and says, you know what? This was dumb. We have David Montgomery. Dude's a churner back. Dude's that guy that'll carry you for 2 extra yards because that's just his style. If it's working, I'm doing it. And then I'm banging you with a deep shot 30 to 40 yards because you bit in with your front seven. That's the style I'm hoping we hit with, or just a hell of a lot of play action, at least to get it comfortable. And then you do like RPO and everything in between,
Haven't we been saying this for quite some time? I feel like we
feels like a whole season thing. I'm having a lot of stuff coming back to me right now.
I'm having deja vu.
I might need a little bit of stability here. Getting woozy.
I'm going to need an adult beverage here to get my feet back under me. Like, this is just, it seems like we said the same thing. You have Montgomery, you have, Justin Fields and Herbert. I'm going to die on this freaking hill because nobody agrees with me.
Oh, okay.
You have both of those guys in the backfield with Justin Fields, who I'm still not big and high on, but we'll wait and see. But you have those three. So design runs for him. You have Montgomery and Herbert, who are threats, because Herbert proved I bring this up, who carried the load when Montgomery was hurt? He did. He got you 80 to 110 yards a game.
Mm.
And I think he'll look at it and go, oh my God, look at this. Look at the weapons we have in the backfield. I'm going to run the ball. And then that's going to open up a pass to other guys. It's going to take pressure off of Justin Fields where he doesn't have to have all the weight on his shoulders of trying to get this done. So they got that done. So hopefully he comes in to not be an idiot. And then they're talking to the Cleveland Browns offensive line coach, which is fantastic because he's rated one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL.
Oh, look what they've done over there. I mean, the Bears were already at their best running anyway. Can you imagine having someone that goes, you know what? This thing, we're already the best. This is our best trait on this line. No matter what, pass pro is terrible. Let's do run pro anything. We'll just enhance it a bit. Let me add a little more tweaks into a formula that was good, and I'll add on the stuff that was great in Cleveland with a similar backfield concept if you execute it that way.
I was going to say they had 2 running backs they could go to at Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen to the Bears? So him trying to talk to them, great. Like, now we're talking. Now we're cooking. Now you're going to try to get the staff. I don't believe he's got a defensive coordinator yet.
Yeah, I mean, they're switching to 4-3, so going back to the traditions. So it was kind of, I mean, I got used to 3-4, not going to lie, but I mean, it's the Bears way. 4-3 has been their main setup for most of their history. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's kind of nice to go back to that. Although that does throw a few things awkwardly for the likes of like a Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack, because now you got to recalibrate how they operate, because they're supposed to be, they're better suited for 3-4 defenses. That's their nature.
Yeah, I think Robert Quinn could adapt to a defensive end more than Khalil Mack. But I think if they went up to Khalil Mack and just said, hey, you're going to be a defensive end, Once in a while, we might call what I call cloud coverage. We'll send you on coverage once in a great while and blitz a backer off of you.
Yeah.
I think he would buy into that because if you look at it, he rushed a lot. He did a lot of that. I think they could buy into that. But they are getting older on defense. They're going to have to make some. The Bears still have decisions. Yes, we're getting the coaching staff figured out. We're getting all that figured out. But we still have health issues on the defensive end. You know, our inside linemen were hurt all the time.
Yep.
Corners and safeties were getting banged up. Roquan Smith, who did not get in the Pro Bowl, which was a sham. He was one of the best linebackers in the league.
I don't get why they keep barring him, man. Like, what is the holdup anymore about giving him all pro and Pro Bowl nods? Like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah, the team was bad, but he was one of the top leading tacklers in the whole NFL.
I don't get it. You know, I know like Darius Leonard was putting that whole underdog mentality. It's like, that's great. You have now multiple Pro Bowl nods and all pros. How about you how about this guy start getting some recognition? The one that's even quieter than you.
Yeah.
You know, that really has been showing that he should be an all pro. Although people knock him for pass pro, I'm like, this year wasn't a problem. He was good at pass protection. You can argue that in 2020 itself, not last year. No, he last year, this past year, he's been great. What's the big holdup?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about 2020 being a wash almost because of the COVID stuff. Like, I mean, you could call that a wash. So then you got to make decisions there. And then on offense, good Lord Almighty, you've got to make some decisions because that offensive line's got to get fixed. You got to go into free agency and see if there's some alignment out there that can come in and fix it. Whatever in the draft. Do what?
Non-patchwork guys. We gotta keep that narrative straight. Don't give me 1 to 2 year deal, guys. Just
no. Like, go find a guy that's coming on the end of his third or fourth year contract that has some years left, and just convince him to come on over. They've got to do it in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to figure out the wide receiver situation because I'm sure Allen Robinson's not coming back. He'll take off. So there's some decisions he still has to make. And yeah, we're getting the staff put together, but
well, I mean, you're gonna have like here's for the Bears, like here's what you're gonna be treading through as Ryan Poles. You got, of course, Robinson, Hicks, Dalton, Graham, Affetti. They're all going to the free agent market. You know, guys like so those guys, I'm like, okay, they probably are all moving on. You know, like that's fine. Guys like, for example, like a Tashawn Gibson, like, you know, you got to pay, or James Daniels, for example. You know, I mean, you're going to have to pay those two for sure. What do you do, for example, like Artie Burns, Alec Ogletree? Are they worth getting a contract? Because Ogletree, I think, made a solid argument most of the season that at least in run defense, we knew he was great. Pass defense, okay, shaky, but overall, I thought he was a great 1 year deal. So do you make that option again? Artie Burns, back half of the season, came on strong. Actually did a great job replacing Vildor, which makes you wonder why he wasn't in for Kendall Vildor in the first place. You know, these are some people you got to consider, and that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg here for your free agent pickups. I mean, there's other ones too that I think are going to get locked down, like Pat O'Donnell. He's not going anywhere. He shouldn't. You know, he's been getting better every year. So, like, that's easy. You know, Damian Williams, okay, he's out the door. Deion Bush, arguably out the door. Jason Peters, do I even have to mention it? You know, the only other one I'd say that like is maybe I'm sitting down and going, all right, we need to think about this a little harder, or two of them really. Patrick Scales and Jakeem Grant. There's like the only other two I'd be like, okay, let's think if we really need to get these guys locked down. Grant was a trade, so like that's a complete wash and toss up. Scales, I mean, excellent. He's been a great replacement for Manley since he's been in. So that's, you pay a long snapper or not. That's it, you know. But these are things you got to think about already. Plus, you're down a first round pick next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have a first round pick because you traded everything for that guy that's playing quarterback.
Correct.
Where you maybe could have got Jimmy G and saved yourself some draft picks to get some linemen. I don't know. That's here or there. And it's funny, it said their biggest need, the very first thing for Bears, is offensive line. That's their first thing that they're saying. Like, that's
it really should, though. Most top, like bottom two in sacks given up, I believe it was, or bottom 2 or 3 this season.
Yeah.
That's like, atrocious.
The only worst offensive line I've seen, maybe, is the Bengals. Like, watching the Bengals offensive line play is just god awful. But they gave up 0 sacks to the Chiefs.
Are you saying the Bengals are what the 2010 Bears could have been if Cutler doesn't go down in the NFC Championship game?
Yes.
Just that like paper line, but they have just enough explosiveness to outpace themselves.
They have that, and that Jay Cutler can get rid of the ball very, very quickly.
That's fair.
Because Joe Burrow does that. You have to think Joe Burrow, the moment the ball snaps, he goes, man, I have 1.5 seconds where my head's taken off. I have to get rid of this ball as quickly as possible.
Thank God I have Boyd, Higgins, and Chase out there because, damn, those guys have good hands.
I don't even know who I'm going to throw it to. I'm just going to throw it up.
Someone's out there. They're most likely open because they're all that good.
Yes, this Bengals team is like those Bears teams, except the Bears had a better defense, I think, than the Bengals. But yes, that offensive line that could be blown over by the wind with Jay Cutler that can throw the ball in 1 second to 2 seconds. But yes, this offensive line needs to be revamped. And if it doesn't, and you have Jenkins. Jenkins has been injured. We still got to see what he's made of.
That's a good point. We need a full training camp,
Yes.
Because they threw him as like a desperation play / injury issue for Peters. When Peters went down, they're like, okay, it's the end of the season, we're out. Like, let's just play him, get him time. But I mean, we can argue it was kind of rough. Like, he definitely needed to get up to speed and was not fully ready, and penalties were kind of rampant for a bit.
I mean, I was surprised he was back. I mean, a broken back, surgery. Then it's like, oh, the last 3 or 4 games of the year, we'll put him in.
Yeah, that's about all you can. That's all you can say.
But
why not? F it, screw it, throw him in. Guy's healthy, he needs the reps. Do it. Why not?
Matt Nagy knew he was gone. Just do it. Who cares?
Nike commercial. Just do it.
Just do it.
Hey Matt, you want to just run here? Maybe it'll save your job. Just do it. I used to fight it. I don't care anymore.
You notice he doesn't have a job yet.
Maybe he's taking a year off. I mean, that's if there's one thing that people know about Chicago's market, you're one step below New Yorkers or maybe a half a step below Philadelphians and how critical you are on your team.
Yeah, we're assholes.
I mean, the guy just basically the guy was supposedly booed at his own son's football game. So he might need to chill out for a season. He's got the money. He can take a year off.
Well, it's going to take him a while to take down all the play call sheets he has up in his office on the wall.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. Forgot about the draft sheets.
Oh, my God. It looked like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where he has the maps lined up and the arrows drawn everywhere.
I know how we can get to the Super Bowl, guys. I've already solved the tight end and kicking problems. We're golden.
What about the 40-year-old offensive line problems? No, that's not an issue.
Doesn't matter.
We've got a new kicker. We got a new kicker, and we got this. Then he gets a phone call. Hey, we're drafting Justin Fields. Well, all right, we're drafting Justin Fields.
All right. He's not ready, though.
I don't want to start
to be fair, people argued that, and I still was arguing that too. So, but I mean, if we're thinking this way, he's still saying he's not ready. Dalton's ready. We're good. Dalton will save my job.
Jimmy G would save his job.
Jimmy G might have. Hey, you know what? Jimmy G might have saved his job, but then again, that line also was kind of. So maybe he wouldn't have saved his job.
The curse of the Bears. Jimmy G would have shown up about the 4th series in the game. Would have torn his other ACL.
Sure.
Something would have happened.
Of course.
Excited for the GM hire. The head coach, I am indifferent about.
It's not exciting.
I mean, it's exciting for a new guy, but part of me is like, it's not the sexy hire either. I think.
Well, okay, if Brian Daboll, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been saying it Daboll, and people are like, what are you talking about? Okay, Brian Daboll is on the headlines. Are you more excited at that point? Because that was my headline guy. That was the guy who's like, if they land him, I'm like chomping at the bit, looking like that Anthony Adams meme that goes around. around Twitter. That would have been me. I would have been sitting there with my sport coat going like that if I saw him land as the head coach.
I think it would have, especially after that game with the Bills. Like, they're like, look what he could do with Josh Allen and these players. He could do the same thing. I liked that hire. I did not like the Ryan Day talk. I'm like, keep him away
Luckily, it
because,
wasn't serious. Like, it never got to that point.
but it was reported so much. And this is why I have trust issues, because it gets reported so much. And I'm like, okay. And the only reason why it was reported is because, well, look, he has Justin Fields on the team. He can do this.
I mean, hey, you could be the Vikings or the Dolphins. Jim Harbaugh has 2 interviews now.
Well, then
I getting serious.
Well, before that happened, I was getting talked into the Jim Harbaugh to the Bears, and I took a lot of heat for that. I said, I don't mind that hire.
That would have been my number 2. That
Like,
was my number 2 behind Daboll.
Yeah, people hated that. And I said, but look what he did with San Francisco. Like, yeah, the Michigan thing, yeah. But you got to think about college. Like, you're recruiting all the time. You're having to deal with keeping them out of the transfer portal now. You're dealing with parents. You're dealing with academics. You're dealing with a lot of interviews. You're dealing with a lot of this. You go to the NFL, you have guys doing that for you. Like, okay, all I got to do is talk to the owner and GM to get free agents, and we don't have to recruit them. We just give them money, and they'll come. All right. And all you got to do is X's and O's. Okay. That's all I got to do. Because what are the Bears need a person to come in and just kind of heal it a little bit, like a guy that can kind of culture build. And I think Jim Harbaugh does that. Not saying Matt Eberflus isn't going to do it or he hasn't learned something. But yes, I got talked into Jim Harbaugh. And what, Thursday? Thursday he's going to talk to the Vikings. The Vikings are interviewing him in person.
They're flying him out. Yeah, they're flying him out. And then I believe Miami is at some point scheduled. There's one outlet, like some betting website, that had heard that Miami locked him down, which I'm like, okay, that's it's not 100% concrete, so I'm not buying it, But there's definitely interest.
Did Adam Schefter report that?
No, he did not. He did not report it. No,
I have trust issues with Adam Schefter now.
Yeah, no, I actually, okay, so it's like my last bit. I love me. As you may know, I think you are yourself. I love meme culture and just anything like that. And so I think one of my favorite Discord servers, they posted a meme about the Schefter debacle. I guess at the time debacle, because really it still came out to be true in the end. And it was like Squidward shrinking up and going, when I have to get into a disinformation contest with Adam Schefter.
Or they showed a scene from, showed Will Ferrell. I can't remember what movie it was. Him and Owen Wilson saying, like, Adam Schefter now, and he showing him, like, they believed it or something like that. Like, they believed it.
Right. Of course.
And then
that's good.
Barstool has a lot of memes.
Oh sure. I think that's just half of Barstool anyway. It's just half of Barstool is just meme. It's just meme posting during any sporting event.
Well, and how quickly, like, I don't know if you've watched Dave Portnoy today. He is very mad. He is very mad because Tom Brady didn't thank New England in his retirement thing he put on Instagram.
Yeah, I've heard people say that too, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, if you really do need that much validation, like, he knows, come on, he knows.
So he was really mad. And then Dick Butkus tweeted something. And so Dave Portnoy retweeted saying, is Dick Butkus fooling me or coming after me or doing something to me? Within 2 minutes, Barstool already had a picture put up of Dave Portnoy getting tackled by Dick Butkus. Like, it was just within 2 minutes. And I'm like, what just happened?
They do it right, man. At least in terms of memes, I'll give them credit. They do it right. That, and everybody now knows the rules of the bite. It's like 2 things you can give Barstool off the top of that. 1 bite for pizza. And then, of course, the, meme culture. Although, last I checked, Portnoy's not really a fan of Chicago style, so that already kind of knocks me down a peg on that.
Why is that? Because it seems like New York people or Boston people just don't like the Chicago pizza.
Well, it's because Chicago. Okay, so Chicago style, and I can't believe I'm even in this tangent here, but here we go. Chicago style, at least my understanding of it. This is, if you're a New Yorker and you're watching this, please feel free to drop a comment. I'm just telling you what I understand. It's not to some of the people. It is not a traditional pizza because of the way it's laid out. It's too thick. It's like a pie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the it's the Jon Stewart version. It's the one it's Jon Stewart ran on pizza pie or on Chicago style. It's a pie. It's big. It's a casserole. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends say it's a casserole, and then of course I'm saying you're wrong. But I mean,
I respect what you say, but you're wrong.
That's the better way of putting it. I shouldn't be that cruel, but that's the deal. Is like it's because it's too thick. In my opinion, New York style, it's tight. I get the crispiness. I get the greasy taste that you like, but it doesn't beat the all crazy toppings and gooey cheese of a good quality deep dish, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to New York and had New York pizza, and they said it's the water and the dough.
Right. Yes, exactly. The water. When it comes to the bagels and the pizza, it's the water that makes the difference. I've heard that too.
The bagels in New York are really good, so I will give them that.
That's fair. The
pizza's good. It's just thin. Like you said, if I want a deep dish pizza, we're going to Chicago.
Sure.
You try to get a deep dish in New York, you might as well just throw it in the trash. Or Boston. I'll come after Dave Portnoy. Don't be doing that. Don't do that. Like, just throw it in the trash. Go to Chicago and get a deep dish pizza.
I've been luckily blessed because Lou Malnati's moved 3 locations to Indianapolis recently.
Ooh,
and I know that's becoming like that. There's like that, and now a Giordano's in the city, and I believe on the south side you can find Uno's in Indianapolis. So like, I know those are the bigger names, but I'm still like, you know what? Lou Malnati's is good stuff. So like, I ain't complaining. Like, yeah, there's probably some better small mom and pop, which there is. I love Joe Sosimo's, by the way, up there. But yeah, like Lou Malnati's is in town. I'm good. Indy needs good pizza places. Thank God Chicago pizza places came to save the day for the most part.
That's a smart move because they'll make a lot of money.
They will. They are popular right now. They are. Although there's one good indie pizza place that I will say I'm not going to give any flack, and I actually give them praise. Basbo's Pizza, great stuff in Broad Ripple. If you haven't been to Indy before, you got to go there. This isn't a sponsorship. This is just me telling you Basbo's is really good. That's it.
I've only been to Indy twice, and the last time was like 2014 to see Kobe play.
Okay.
Pacers. And that's it. Now I'm in the suburbs. You're surrounded by pizza.
Right.
There's like 4 Giordano's within a 10-mile radius.
And then in Indy, you're surrounded by chicken tenderloin or pork tenderloins.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with
big sandwich that doesn't at all fit the bun. It looks almost like a joke sandwich online.
And another restaurant we're surrounded by is Raising Cane's, which I compare Raising Cane's to the Bears' offensive line.
I wish we had Raising Cane's in Indy because I love the stuff. It's in Ohio, and it's starting to be in northern Indiana. It's nowhere anywhere else in the state. What the hell is wrong with this state that you can't put one damn chicken shop in Indianapolis? Come on, Raising Cane's.
You're better off without it. What kind of place only sells chicken strips?
Oh, but the sauce and the nice sides and the crispiness of the chicken. Steve, I love it.
I have a podcast episode you should listen to. Me and my friend just go on a rant about Raising Cane's for 45 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna pop my pause on our debate so I can listen to the rant because I could go all night with this probably. But
I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called. I can't remember what the episode's called. Me and my friend Brad Miller, who visited, and we were driving around to find some place to eat, and we're driving down the street, and there's Raising Cane's. So we looked up the menu, and we were like, "What kind of place just sells freaking just chicken strips?" It's called Info Strip. I called it Info Strip.
Oh.
Episode 123.
I'll have to go look that back up. But yeah, that's a shtick. Just chicken strips. Or you make a sandwich out of the chicken strips.
Yeah, how stupid. How stupid of a restaurant can we have here? You take 3 chicken strips and put them on a piece of bread with some lead. Don't get me started. Like, what kind of restaurant?
Okay, but I guess this is the one thing this is all that matters, really. Do you like the sauce?
It was okay. Never had it, but I guess.
Okay, so you're basically already net negative, because if you aren't going to like the chicken, the sauce ain't saving it for you, is what you're telling me. So
it looks like expired ranch on the website. So this is why.
What?
This
That's
is
it.
why.
I'm done talking to you about this.
I have trust issues. I have trust issues. So when I look at stuff, like I am chef to ruin shit. So you see, I have trust issues when I look online. This is a great way to end it, ranting about Raising Cane's, which I haven't done in months. But the future for the Bears looks okay. It's exciting. We'll see what happens.
Net positive, I'll give it for now.
It's positive. It's better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We're not dealing with Matt Nagy. But what's frustrating now is we got to give him like 3 years. That's going to be another frustrating.
Of course.
But if Aaron Rodgers leaves, we have a chance. If he stays, we're screwed.
It's the risk you're willing to take, though. I'm ready to be hurt again. Sadly, it's just that's the way of my life with this fandom. I'm just ready to be hurt at any time.
Is that the Steve Carell? Like, I'm just ready to be hurt again from The Office? Is that what that is?
That's exactly. I'm just ready to be hurt again. Like, that's all it is. Just hit the reset button. If I get hurt again, I was expecting it all along. If I get surprised, but not just for a year. If I get a like consistent like surprise, like, oh my God, we finally hit the jackpot, then we can go back to like crazy Zach, who gets really pissed off when things don't go right, like hyper fan Zach, not like numb sitting at the back going, I knew this would happen, Zach, which is depressing as hell. But that's the reality I live in.
Well, that's been the way as Bears fans for like a year and a half, where we're just sitting there like, yeah. Because in 2018, we were up there. We were like, oh my God.
I know. Then, I was ready. I was embracing it. Went to 100-year anniversary in Rosemont and was like, I'm ready. The hype is real. And it all just faded so quickly. So quickly died. I'm
going to end on this. We're going to end it on this.
Okay.
Because I appreciate you being here. It's been an hour and a half, and I didn't mean to.
Good God. Wow. I'm having so much fun. Time flies, right? I didn't even notice.
I didn't mean to do that. What if Mitch Trubisky goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Oh, stop. just stop right there. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm being rude. And what? What's the and?
Actually, a realistic thing is what if he goes to the Giants with the new head coach?
Okay,
Dabble.
So in this scenario, he beats out Daniel Jones.
Yes, and what if they make the playoffs on whatever team he joins?
Oh no, dude, that would be that would be the insanity complex, right? Like that. That's where I lose my mind. You know, is if I have to sit there after those 4 years of arguing with people, is he good or not? Is he the guy or not? And then he goes with Brian Daboll, of all people, who seemed like the hotshot guy, and just smokes people in the East. Somehow gets to the point where it's like he's either the team's a high wild card or they get like a top 3 seed in the NFC with the Giants.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Someone said that. I saw a picture of them talking about him going to the Giants.
Well, I mean, Nagy or Trubisky said it best when he left. It's a 1-year stop. Supposedly this year is a place he's going to go to compete. So if it's New York, I mean, that's what they need. If you want, like, that's where they're at right now. They need somebody that's a push for the starting spot type of guy in training camp. It's not impossible, and now you're scaring me. I'm not saying that they're going to run the table with them, but like, now you're scaring me.
You're going to be in a Giants jersey by the end of the year.
No, I'm not. I have a friend of mine that left the Detroit Lions fandom for the Rams because of Stafford. Credit. But I am not a franchise jumper. I cannot do the bandwagon jumping. It's my final straw. If I do that, I have given up my principles of living.
You're going to send me a message at like 2 or 3 a.m. Steve, I can't stop thinking about this Trubisky thing going to the Giants. See, I planted the seed.
Steve, I missed Mitch all along.
See, it wasn't Mitch's fault. It was Matt Nagy's fault.
Right.
See? Or he'll go to the Bucks with Bruce Arians and just roll because that division sucks.
Dude, Nagy or the Nagy or Mitch argument is the is the antonym of what the Belichick Brady argument is. Whose fault was it really? Instead of who really pulled their weight.
See, that's what we need. We need to have this. Now that Nagy is gone, we can see, was it Nagy's fault if the Bears don't do well? Then if Mitch Trubisky goes somewhere else, we can say, was it Nagy's fault that Mitch Trubisky wasn't at his top potential? Even though the Giants are one of the worst teams I've ever seen. But I'm just saying it could happen.
My sanity.
Or he'll go to the Saints and get killed because they're gonna suck.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Talk about that.
Being $78 million over the cap.
Yep, $70 million over. Your longtime coach is left because he's just ready to step aside, quote unquote, which to me in between the lines is this situation's getting screwed. I'm out. That's how I read it. I'm not doing a rebuild again. I'm gone.
He is out of there. Yep. He's going to wait a year for some big time job. And just
like a Mike McCarthy, take a year off, find a high profile spot you can just plug and play.
That was another thing Barstool put up. They said Mike McCarthy's been fired a year and 2 days from now. And then another picture after that. Sean Payton is hired a year and 2 days from now. That's what Jerry Jones wants.
Oh, sure. Sure he does. Sure he does.
Well, thanks for coming on. I want you to think about the Mitch Trubisky thing to the Giants.
We'll revisit it. If it happens, we're going to have a great show when it happens.
He's going to go 10-6 and make the playoffs.
No.
Or 10-7, whatever it is now.
Just finish like 9-8, but just miss it. I'll feel happy for you, but I won't be like mad happy. I'm not going to be the guy with the happy face over his actual angry tears face. We're not playing that card.
Or he'll go to the Bucks and make it to the NFC Championship game.
That's it. I'm cutting it now. Getting out. I'm bailing out while I have a chance.
Well, thanks for coming back on real quick. Tell people whatever podcast they can go listen. Of course, Belly Up. Go to Belly Up. Go check out the Burns radio station, which I'm the horrible person that didn't sign up for it. So whatever. I'm just.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You got time to recoup and come late March. We'll chat again. Okay, that's when we're reopening it. But for the time being, we do have a nice plethora of 16 different shows on Burns Radio, which is the new revamp of what Unhinged Radio was for Belly Up Sports. Essentially, if you liked a lot of the personalities from Unhinged Radio, you're going to like a lot of them, if not all of them, in Burns. We are trying to make this much more of a fluid radio station. It is one that I am helping to start up, and I am taking a lot of pride in trying to run it. It's in its first day as of today. So still working some kinks out. I am learning. Even as I am talking to you, I'm getting people that are like, there's this and that and that. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. That needs to be fixed. I now notice this. So There's that, Otherwise, USFL podcast, check that out, especially if you're interested in the USFL. Inside the Walls, if you want to hear my talk on indoor and arena football. And then Gridiron Gallery, whenever the hell I get back into throwing a show up, because Jesus Christ, it has been way too long. And I will eventually put something up to explain what the hell's going on with that show. So don't worry. I got stuff for you. I'm somewhere in the ether.
If you need help with Gridiron Gallery to get it started, you let me know.
I will. I have stuff. It's just that I've been busy and it has been killing me for things like that. That's all I'm going to leave on. But yeah, check me out on on those shows and just check out Burns Radio. Like seriously, we're building a video and media empire. We're trying to get that going. You should totally check it out though. We are what they aren't. That's what Belly Up says. And that's what I say too, because it's true.
We are what they aren't. And we'll enjoy Mitch Trubisky later on in the year. All right. And Jay Cutler. Anyway.
Wait,
All right.
no, I shouldn't be gagging anymore.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Thanks anybody who listens and watched. Check out all that stuff. Check out Belly Up. Check out all that. It's all there. Check out all the affiliates in the description below, all the sponsors I have. Do all that. Thank you guys so much. This is Coach Steve. This is Zach Keilman, who was on ESPN Radio. He's way up here now. And we'll see you guys next time.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.